Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm here today with another shadow work video. This is video number 2, and this is just a little introduction before I start the actual reading, just in case you didn't see video number 1 or you're not entirely sure what shadow work is. I thought I'd just give you a very brief little explanation of what shadow work is and why it's important, really. This video will be time-stamped, so if you don't want to listen to me talk about shadow work, you can go straight to the reading. But anyway, shadow work is something that's been of great interest to me over the years, both professionally and personally. It's something that I discovered probably sort of 30 years ago, reading about Carl Jung when I was a student nurse, and it's sort of stayed with me, really. It's become something that I've practiced a lot in my own personal life, and I've tried to help others with as well. I think it's very important. And basically what shadow work is, really, Carl Jung described it as our shadow as being one of our core archetypes. It's he described it as being like the bag that we drag over our shoulder all of our lives, and when we are children, the bag is empty, but as we start to grow up, we start to put things in the bag. More and more things go in the bag, and they tend to be the things that we feel upset about, ashamed about, all the times that we were told we were stupid or not good enough. All the times we thought we were pointless and worthless, all of those thoughts, all of those things go in the bag. And as we grow up, the bag gets heavier and heavier and harder to drag around. And I think for many of us, certainly not for everybody, I don't think some people are ever even aware that they're dragging a bag around. But for many of us, certainly if you're interested in watching videos like this, you're well aware of your shadow. And there reaches a point in life, really, where we have to stop and put the bag down and have a look, really. And it's basically about looking at the unconscious or subconscious things, the things that are in darkness. And it's by bringing them out into the light, reflecting upon those things, talking about those things, pondering those things. It's there that the healing and the self-growth comes from. So yeah, that's basically what shadow work is. And in this video, I've already shuffled the cards actually and dealt them out. We're going to go through 2 or 3 oracle cards, some tarot cards, and then at the end we're going to draw one final oracle card, which I hope will give us some good advice for what we have uncovered here in your reading today. The first reading that I did, I really enjoyed doing. I think it was quite useful and quite powerful for me also, actually, and it was called The Masks That We Wear. And it was looking at sort of being our authentic self, really. So I don't know what the theme of this reading is going to be, obviously, until I've turned the cards over and we get started. But yeah, so there we go. That's what shadow work is. And if you're really interested in shadow work, I did do a video a couple of weeks ago, I think, that's called 6 Tools that can help you with shadow work, and it's basically 6 questions that you can use tarot cards for to self-reflect and look at archetypes and look at different aspects of your personality. So yeah, anyway, I shall pause the video and I'll be back in a mo with the reading. Okay, so hello and welcome to your shadow work reading. I do hope that I can get through this video without sneezing or sniffing or coughing too much. The last couple of days, I've just felt like I've been coming down with a bug. I've had just a scratchy, itchy throat and a very itchy nose. I've been sneezing quite a lot. I don't know whether I've got an allergy or a bug. I'm not really sure what it is because I don't feel sort of unwell generally. I'm just aware that something is happening. So I do hope that I don't sniff or cough too much anyway. So where are we? Let's get started. So this is my little pile here of cards that I dealt out earlier today and that I've meditated upon before I've turned them over. But what I have been looking at is the bottom of the deck, because I think that the bottom of the deck can often be sort of the crux of the matter, really. It can be something that's not immediately apparent, can often be quite important. So for the two tarot decks that I used at the bottom of the decks, we got the High Priestess with the Barbara Walker deck, and we got the Seven of Cups, which is projections, in the Osho Zen tarot deck. So when I say I've been sitting meditating upon the energy of this reading, it's been these two cards really that I've been looking at today. And well, first of all, with the Seven of Cups here, the projections card, this is very much an aspect of shadow work, isn't it? You know, projections can be things that we fall victim to from other people, that they have projected something onto us, something of their own mind, something of their own making, or this can be something that we do to other people also. You can see here in this picture that these people, they can't really see each other because they have each projected this image onto the other person. And this was sort of just making me think really that, you know what it's like when, if you really like somebody, they can appear much more attractive to you, more than they are in reality. And if you really, really don't like somebody, they can appear more ugly than they really are. And this is obviously not a reality, is it? This is something we've manufactured in our own minds, depending on our thought processes. So it's kind of the same with projection here, really, is that depending on our state of mind will depend on what we will attribute to other people or not. I think often this is sort of the relationship mirror type stuff, isn't it? That sometimes the things that other people do that really, really annoy us, if we sat and thought about it for a while, quite honestly, we would be able to see the roots of those behaviours in ourselves. They're often things that we dislike about ourselves, but we're not prepared to really fully acknowledge. And so we project it out onto other people and we blame other people for those things rather than look at ourselves, because these things don't have to be about blame either for ourselves or for other people, but they are things we tend to do, is blame. We can also project our expectations of other people onto them. Our parents, you know, are often quite good at doing that when we're young, is that they project these expectations of how they want us to be and how they want us to grow up and what they want us to do and who they want us to be, essentially. And all of those things going too far can cause great trouble for people, can't they? They can prevent us from seeing each other and ourselves with any kind of clarity, really, and put an enormous amount of pressure on both ourselves and other people, actually, as well. So yeah, we've got projections there, but we've also got the High Priestess in the Barbara Walker deck. And I don't know why, but just this card here is just making me think of what's been coming to me while I've been sat here just looking at these, really, is the word revelation. Is that there's a revelation, I feel, coming your way here with this card, or there needs to be. And it will be wrapped up around this word here, projections, this card here, projections. I feel that there is a big insight about to happen. There's a big awareness or revelation of some kind, an intuitive understanding of something that is coming your way. So we will leave these cards here just so that I can refer to them in the reading if necessary. And it's interesting, isn't it, that, you know, the insights that are coming there already. So with great excitement, let's turn these cards over and see what we've got. Okay, so the first card we've got here is from my Dark Mirror Oracle deck, and I have drawn for you the card Sacrifice. And immediately, looking at this card, this is making me think about Joan of Arc. That's what the image in this picture looks like to me. This is Joan of Arc, perhaps. I don't know. It looks like a female knight of some kind. Yeah, somebody with a very, very steady and determined look on her face. So yeah, it's making me think about Joan of Arc, who obviously sacrificed herself for her ideals, for her principles, for her morals, for the things that she believed in. There was a kind of perhaps religious fervour in her decisions, a duty, kind of strength of will. This is a card of, I suppose, accepting your fate, isn't it? Despite the pain or the suffering that might come along with that. So yeah, it's about making a difference, isn't it? It's about doing something or being part of something that's bigger than yourself, perhaps, which is a very powerful thing. It's a very admirable thing in many ways, to kind of martyr yourself, to sacrifice yourself for something that you believe in so strongly. But yeah, most of us don't sort of, you know, sorry, it's making me think of all kinds of things are coming into my mind here. I was just thinking about on YouTube a man that I watch, who's a very positive example of this sacrifice kind of energy, and that's a man called Takis Shelter. He's called Takis, and he's a Greek man, and he runs a shelter for dogs and cats and things in Greece. And he gave up his very well-paid career, and I think sold all of his belongings pretty much, really, to buy some land and to start this charity, to look after all the poor dogs and cats and things in Greece. And he is, to me, he's like a modern day hero. I admire him so much. He definitely sacrificed his own way of life, his prosperity, his wealth, his ability to have relationships, I would imagine. He did all of those things for something that he felt strongly enough about. And you know, he sacrificed his own health and well-being getting that project off the ground, and it's gone well for him and for the animals, and it's a very positive example of this energy of sacrifice. But I think for some of us, this can be a much more troublesome kind of energy, because while there's real power in sacrifice, I think you have to be very wary about what you're sacrificing and why. And it's actually making me think here about this card projections, and making me wonder whether what you're sacrificing here is something that somebody else has projected onto you at some point or another. I don't know. You know, like I was saying about sometimes in childhood our parents can place quite heavy expectations on us about who we are and where we're going and what we should achieve in life. And sometimes we can get stuck in careers, doing things that we're not really doing because we really wanted to. We're doing because that was the expectation. And sometimes doing these things can mean that we're sacrificing our health, our well-being, our ideals, our likes, our dislikes, even good relationships. You know, we can be sacrificing our relationships with our partners, our children, and doing all that for a job or for money or to have some sense of control in life. Yeah, I don't know, lots of information with this card, lots of information. As I said, sacrifice can be an extremely admirable quality, but it can also be a very damaging quality that can turn you kind of into a victim, really, I suppose, of your own or somebody else's expectations of you. So yeah, interesting. That's it. I drew two of my Wisdom Well cards for you. Two of them popped out. I only meant to draw one, but two of them pinged out, so I took them both. We'll start with this one, I think. And this one here, number 15, this is the inner child archetype. The Wisdom Well deck is a deck of archetype cards, and this one is the inner child, actually. So that's really interesting, isn't it? Looking at the other cards that we've got here. I was saying, wasn't I, that sometimes these things can start in our childhood. You know, these expectations and pressures, or the things that we feel ashamed of, the things that we learn to hide and project out onto other people, the things that we deny in ourselves, that we're uncomfortable with. So to me, this card, the fact that it's popped up in this reading would imply that perhaps there is a behaviour pattern from your childhood that is still influencing you now and perhaps causing trouble in your life now. This card can kind of represent the parts of your psyche that have not evolved or matured in many ways. This is a card that asks for personal growth here, to look at things through fresh eyes. In tarot, this would be the Fool card, really. And there's a wisdom in the innocence of children and the ability to go with the flow and take life as it comes. But I think, as this is a shadow work reading, I'm going to say that this card is here because there is a behaviour pattern or a trait in your personality from your childhood that is still influencing you and causing trouble in your life right now. And I'm going to say it's to do with sacrifice. It's to do with sacrifice of a part of your life, of your hopes and dreams, maybe even. Yeah, I'm not sure. And the other card that we've got here, card number 30, is the stonemason. This is a card really of material things. You know, this would be a pentacle. This is a card of material things. So this person here is a person of the world. This is a practical, earthy person, somebody who could be skilled in practical matters, somebody perhaps with good business sense. Actually, this is materialism versus idealism, really. This is the idealism, isn't it? The Joan of Arc. And the stonemason here is materialism. Interesting. So, this could be a warning, I guess, couldn't it, of some kind, about perhaps ideals being unrealistic in some way, or the perils of ignoring your ideals over materialism. It could be a warning about sort of wooden thinking, if you know what I mean, of too much control over your thinking, concrete thinking, of being kind of blocked, not being able to think outside of the box, just being overly concerned with materialism, business, power, practicality. This card could definitely be kind of sacrificing your ideals and your hopes and dreams at the altar of practicality, I guess, couldn't it? Yeah, that's what I'm getting from this card. This is about sacrificing your hopes and dreams and your ideals at the altar of practicality. And I think that this is a trap that many of us can fall into at times in our lives, because obviously to earn money, to get good at things, to have skills, to learn things, to be successful, these are all things that are important to every one of us to one degree or another. And if you've lived a life where your inner child was affected by these projections of other people, you will have grown up believing that that's the only way, and that, you know, to have hopes and dreams and ideals and, you know, fantasies, thoughts about what you would like to do or who you would like to be, that they're pointless, really, because, you know, your road ahead of you in life is one of needing to succeed, needing to get good at things, needing to build security for yourself and your family, perhaps even. Yeah, okay. And the last little oracle card that I've got here is one of my rebel decks, because I just think these cut through a lot of the crap a lot of the time and tell it like it is. And we've got here, don't fucking force it. Allow that shit to come to you. Don't fucking force it. Allow that shit to come to you. Which again is interesting, isn't it? Because so far we've got sacrifice, which is definitely forcing an issue, isn't it? It's definitely forcing a path, forging a path ahead of you. And so is the stonemason here. Projections, whether from yourself or other people, can force a situation. They can definitely direct a situation in a certain way or another. The only card we've actually got here that's not quite forceful, I suppose, in some ways, is the High Priestess, and who is receptive, isn't she, in her energy. She's intuitive and would allow things to happen in their own time. And as I said at the beginning of this reading, I felt looking at her that she's on the brink of an understanding here. She's coming to an understanding, an insight of some kind. There's some kind of revelation or big understanding coming here. And this card, I think, is just further reinforcing that, really, is that it's not always wise, it's not always healthy to force things. Sometimes it's better to sit and wait and be receptive and to pay attention to the signs, to the synchronicities, to your feelings, to how you feel, and to pay attention to those things. Okay, now we're on to the tarot cards, and I'm going to go with the Osho Zen first. Interesting. So we've got the King of Pentacles here first, who in any other deck is a very traditional man. This is a man who is concerned with the material world, the practical world, with money, with business, with security. But in this Osho Zen deck, this is a very different kind of King of Pentacles. As we can see, he's sat on the Book of Life here. He's kind of open and kind of receptive. There's even watery energy around here with him, emotional energy. So this is a mature man, a mature masculine energy. He's at home within himself, I think, is more the message of this card, rather than forging a home, a security for himself in the outside world, in the material world. I think this is a fully evolved masculine energy that's actually at home within himself, which is very different from, say, the stonemason here, isn't he, who I would imagine hasn't even given a single thought to how he feels within himself. He's more concerned about what he's doing and what he's achieving. So, yeah, very different energy, interesting. And then we've got a brilliant card here. This is the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Trying to think what that is, Aquarius. I think that's Mercury in Aquarius, yeah. So that's about the mind, isn't it? It's about communication, expression. And normally in the Six of Swords, we see people moving away in some way, you know, people in a boat going from troubled waters to calmer waters, but essentially moving away from negativity. Whereas here, we're very much in the shadow of the Six of Swords. This is the burden. And as we can see here, this person has got someone on their back, and there's even a rooster on the back of that person as well. There's a mountain to climb here. And this person just looks exhausted, really. And to me, this card just makes me think this is all about the sort of the nagging of negativity, the nagging thoughts that we all have, the come on, you know, you should have done that, you know, that, why haven't you done that? Come on, it's not much more, come on, come on, come on. It's that sort of, it's the perfectionist, isn't it, perhaps within us all, of, you know, you must succeed, you must do it, come on. You know, to stop now would be to be lazy. You know, you must be productive, you must carry on, you must succeed, you must achieve this, you must do that. And to me, this is tying in really well with the inner child card that we've got here, and the projections card, and the sacrifice card, and the stonemason. It's all fitting together really well of this feeling of judgment of self, really. That's very much the shadow work here, isn't it? It feels like in many of these cards that there's no concern or thought for your own thoughts or feelings, for your own wishes or hopes or desires. It seems that this is all about achieving an end, a means to an end, or what do I want to say? Of sort of being a cog in a machine, you know, of not even recognising your own individual value, your own individual needs and hopes and dreams. That it's almost like living your life to a script, and that script having come about perhaps in your childhood, you know, of being told way too often that you should be doing this and why aren't you doing that, and come on, and stop having your head in the clouds and get on with it, and, you know, achieve this. You know, that success is a very material thing. It's something that life is something that needs to be conquered rather than experienced. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that life needs to be conquered rather than experienced is what I think I'm feeling there. And I think that's kind of backed up by the last card here, which is existence. And this is the High Priestess again in the Osho Zen deck, which is really interesting take on the High Priestess, isn't it? Sorry, that's not the High Priestess, is it? What am I talking about? That is the Magician, isn't it? Sorry. The High Priestess. I think it's because it's a female sat in the thing there. But that is the Magician, isn't it? And this is about being at the centre of the universe, of the creation of universe, but of not actually doing anything, just being part of it, just experiencing life as it comes, about not forcing things. It's interesting, isn't it? We've got the Magician and we've got the High Priestess here. And we've got all of these cards here of forcing things, being forced to work harder, being forced to learn new skills, to perfect things, to be successful, to make security for yourself, to really sacrifice your own. It feels to me actually that you may have sacrificed, or you may have just let go of your own hopes and dreams a long, long time ago here. I'm also looking at what we got here. We've got a pentacle, a sword, the magician, the high priestess. Yeah, let's just have a look at the last three cards here, and then I'll try and sum this up. This is really very interesting though, isn't it? So in the Barbara Walker deck here, we've got the Four of Wands, which is, the key word on here is success. And I think there's an implied sort of marriage going on here, isn't there? Somebody kneeling at the feet of somebody else. Somebody humbling themselves. Or somebody actually being given a reward here, perhaps, is what's going on here. Of reaching the conclusion of something and being given a reward. I mean, traditionally, the Four of Wands can often represent a marriage. It can represent the building of the framework of something solid in life. It's Aries energy, so it's quite a masculine and driven energy to achieve yet again. And I think that's what's going on here, is that this is a reward for somebody's labours, somebody's efforts. Yeah. And I feel that that's been something perhaps that you've craved, or something that you've wanted a lot in life, is that kind of recognition and that kind of reward and that kind of security. Or it's something that you've been told is necessary and you've been told is important, and perhaps it's something that you've not questioned greatly. Interesting. And then we've got the Three of Wands here, which this is Aries energy again. The key word on here is fate. And I think what we're looking at here is the fates. This is kind of triple goddess energy, isn't it? We've got the maiden, the mother, and the crone here. So this is about the cycles of life, isn't it? And perhaps about choices to move with grace throughout those cycles of life, or to resist them and try to force life, if you like, in one direction or another, rather than to go with the flow, which is making me think about this card here, about not forcing it and about allowing things to happen. We've also got that energy going on here, haven't we, with this King of Pentacles, the mature masculine energy there. We've also got that energy going on here with existence, the magician. It's a very, very different magician energy there than we would normally see, because the magician often can be somebody who can manipulate and force energies, but this one is not. It's about just being part of things, being present, being part of things, going with the flow. Yeah, interesting. And then the last card we've got here is the Fool. And I said, didn't I, that the inner child card here is an archetype of the Fool. The Fool and the inner child kind of are as one, aren't they? I mean, there's wisdom. There is much wisdom to be had. There's great potential with the Fool. I think, we could say, is he reckless, or is he just innocent and full of life? You can be both at the same time. There's a great potential for growth here. This is inner child work again, isn't it? About being open to experience, not being kind of restricted or constrained by concrete thinking, blocked thinking, of sort of a loss of hopes and dreams, I think, is what I can see here greatly throughout this. Like I said, it's almost like from a very young age, you've learned to live your life to a certain script, that you've just accepted your fate as being a sort of a cog, if you like, in this big wheel of industry and materialism of, I'm just trying to think here. I'm looking at what all the cards we've got here, and we've got 2 wands, a sword, a cup, the Fool, the High Priestess, the Magician, Inner Child, Stonemason, and Sacrifice. So the only swords that we've got here, actually, which are the suit of the mind, the only swords that we've got here in this whole pile really is Sacrifice, which has a sword, and the Burden. And so I feel very much that the message of this reading really is that it's like your mind has become closed. It's like your mind has become so singularly focused on achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, or you've been told it's important to achieve, that you've kind of missed or even lost the ability to just sit and be with yourself, to allow things to happen, to just sit and experience life as it is and see how you feel about that. I think very much here the message of this reading is that there's a lot of blocked thought processes. There's no self-reflection here. This is a reading that is overly concerned with achievement, with success, with materialism, with building a solid foundation for yourself. And I'm not at all saying that these things aren't important, because obviously we all need money, we all need a home. It's nice to become skilled at something. It's nice to learn things, to become skilled, to succeed in life. These things are very admirable and they're nice qualities to have, but not to the point of perfectionism, not to the point of success at all costs, not to the point of living life to a kind of script, one that might not even be a script of your own making. It could be a script of your parents or somebody else in your life that's important to you. I think what's being called for here, and what the revelation actually that I felt so strongly in the High Priestess here, is that through a period of inner reflection, of inner assessment, of looking at what you have sacrificed, and looking at some of your thoughts and feelings about the world, and trying to actually reflect upon whether those things are real or not, or whether they're just things that you have come to believe as real over the years. I hope I'm making sense. I think that I am. I hope I'm making sense here. Anyway, let's draw one more card from my Soul Oracles deck, and I hope that this will bring some further clarity to what I'm saying here. I think as we've got the inner child here and we've got the Fool here, I think, and we've also got don't force it, I think this reading is very much urging a need to look at things with fresh eyes, I think, to spend some time in reflection and to try and look at things through different eyes. Yeah. So for this reading, for this shadow work reading, please, if we could have a card that will provide clarity and a way forward, please. Thank you. So let's have a look. And we've got rejuvenate. I'm going to read from the book for this because while I love this deck, I would never do it justice without reading from the book. So let's have a look. Card 61. So, are you feeling burnt out? Are you asking too much of yourself? And I see that here. I see that here. Are you not leaving time for rejuvenation? Are you strangling your inner child? Blimey. And judging it as irresponsible or unworthy? Have you been envious of people who seem to be enjoying their life while you just slave away? What have I been saying? It's like you've lived your life to a script, like you sacrificed your ideals and your hopes and dreams on the altar of practicality. That's what I said, wasn't it? How fascinating. So your soul's purpose right now is to re-energize and reinvigorate your spirit with a holiday, with recreation and unstructured time. The well is empty, the garden is overplanted, and the bank account is depleted. Take time to renew. Simply put, all work and no play makes you one burnt out, sad soul. I'm going to put that down. Your soul's lesson is to value enjoyment. Don't limit your pleasure to once a week, to 1 week a year. Don't limit your pleasures to 1 week a year, but rather to one period every day. Realise that your unwillingness to step back and relax is really fear trying to block your spirit. Feed your inner self by going outside and letting your body soak up the warmth and radiance of the sun. This life force will right what's wrong and heal what's out of balance. The more you give yourself time to rejuvenate, the more success you will attract. Sometimes doing nothing is the most powerful action you can take. That's what's going on here, isn't it? The Magician is a very powerful card, and this is just about sitting and being part of things, of being in the moment. For as you relax, you will attract what you were striving for. So yeah, are you asking too much of yourself and not leaving time for rejuvenation? Are you strangling your inner child and judging it as irresponsible or unworthy? Wow. So it all came together, didn't it, really? You, my viewer, need some time out. You need some time out to relax, to enjoy life, to be receptive to life, to what life has to offer, to not be perhaps so task orientated where everything has to be scheduled. Yeah, there needs to be some balance here, doesn't there? You need to try and stop forcing life in one direction or another. Start actually attributing some of that negativity to your own thinking, to your own kind of monkey mind, rather than projecting it out onto other people and perhaps blaming other people for your lack of fulfillment and your lack of happiness and pleasure in life. You know, as I said, to sacrifice things is a very powerful thing. But there's this kind of martyr and victim energy that go alongside sacrifice, and you can end up sacrificing yourself, your health, your well-being, all for your principles, your pride, your status, for money, for control of yourself, control of life. I think this reading really is the insight that is to be had here, is to step back, to allow yourself, to allow your inner child to come forward, to be more receptive to life, to be more in the moment, to question yourself, to not just react to your thoughts, but to question where they come from, to look at your feelings, to try and find a way to reach what's actually in your heart, what your heart wants. So yeah, there we go. I think if I carry on, I'm just going to start waffling, really. So yeah, I think I'm going to title this video "Being a Cog in a Machine," because I think that that's what's been going on here, really. And I think that that's the revelation that's going to come, is that the machine can continue without you, at least for a time. And you need to get back in touch with yourself, with who you are and what you really want. So there we go. I really, really hope that was that resonated for some of you, that's given you something to think about, something to reflect upon, and a way forward for yourself. I hope to do another one of these shadow work readings in November. Maybe not in a week's time, because I've got a very busy week next week, but I hope to do another one of these at least, because I really do enjoy doing them. Actually, they're a challenge for me, as well as for you. So yeah, I do hope that you got something out of that. Thanks so much to all my new subscribers recently, to everyone that gives me a thumbs up and leaves me a comment. I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate that. So yeah, anyway, look after yourself, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, and take some time out for yourself. I'll see you again.